underway. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Kickoff Show presented by Axalta. I'm Chris McPherson, joined alongside Fran Duffy, and on a night in South Philadelphia where we're going to commemorate and celebrate the 2017 season that ended with the first Super Bowl championship in franchise history. But Fran, at the same time, the Eagles have to quickly turn the page because a new year is upon us.
Yeah, we're closing the book on 2017. The story for 2018 starts right now, and I am really excited because this is going to be an awesome game. Great matchups on both sides of the football. We've got a ton to cover right here tonight in the next 30 minutes.
And we are going to have exclusive coverage of the banner unveiling. We're going to call it the championship moment from the link a little bit later on in the show. But first, let's get you over to the stadium as you can watch the players warm up. Now, the Eagles' playoff run in 2017 started against Atlanta as they beat them in the divisional round. Alshon Jeffrey, although he is out tonight, addressed the team earlier this week and said the 2018 season starts with Atlanta. It needs to end in Atlanta where Super Bowl 53 is going to be held. And of course, we start here with the quarterbacks as Carson Wentz is out for tonight. And once again, the mantra of last season was next man up, and Nick Foles will start just like he did in that divisional round win over the Falcons.
Yeah, and it'll be really interesting just to see Nick Foles. Look, this summer obviously was not his best performance in terms of the entire preseason, but we've seen what Nick Foles can do. We've seen what he can do against this defense as well. I'm really excited to see what this offense has in store. I expect that the Eagles will be able to run the ball tonight. I expect them to win both sides of the line of scrimmage, but I expect Nick Foles to be very efficient as well here tonight against the Falcons.
That's the key, efficiency. You go back to that playoff game in January, and he had a rocky, shaky first half, but came alive in the second half with the help of the RPO game because the Eagles ran the ball very well in the first half of that game, but the Falcons did a great job of shutting it down. So it was more on Foles' hands at that point, and he came through in the clutch. And there's number 43. So great to see him back on the field in Midnight Green. It was a tease because we got to see him in practices each and every day, but they kind of kept him wrapped up for the regular season, and he's out there tonight. And Jay Ajayi set to take on a bigger role. The running game for me, I think, can help solidify things early on because you look at the wide receiver position, you look across the board, a lot of these guys were in and out of the lineup during the preseason. The run game should be able to stabilize you early on against this fast and aggressive Atlanta defense.
I'm expecting tonight for it to be Jay Ajayi on first down, Corey Clement on second down, Darren Sproles on third down. Go back to Jay Ajayi. Like, I'm getting excited because I'm even like looking at the stadium and seeing all the fans in the background. Everybody's excited. Look at that shot there. Look at all the fans in the seats. I am so excited for this game to get going. I expect this run game to be very good here tonight.
All right, let's take a look at the starters on offense for tonight. Now, Alshon Jeffrey is out. Mack Hollins was placed on injured reserve earlier today, so he's sidelined for at least 8 weeks. So Shelton Gibson, who had an outstanding training camp preseason, gets a start tonight, but certainly a much different look than I think most fans and probably the team anticipated going into this Week 1 matchup.
Yeah, and one of the biggest stories going into this preseason was Shelton Gibson. And Shelton Gibson's going to get the start here tonight. He's going to get a chance to show that speed. I'm excited to see him across from this guy, Mike Wallace, the free agent signing from Baltimore. Some added speed to this Eagles receiving core with those two guys on the outside.
Now, you talk about chemistry. Nelson Aguilar, number 13, for my eyes, was the most dynamic offensive weapon in training camp early on before he got a little bit injured and was nicked up and was rested. But for me, he and Foles have that chemistry. You go back to the Super Bowl win, 9 catches, a career high for Aguilar, and he said that he wants to just build upon what he did in 2017, and I think he's primed for a huge year. The question for me is going to be, will he be just inside in the slot, or will they move him outside as well?
Yeah, I think that he's going to be a guy that's going to get more reps both inside and outside. And this is another guy that I think is going to get more reps on inside and outside, like number 91, Fletcher Cox. Look at this defensive line tonight, Chris. Woo! I am so excited to see, because preseason, like, you got to see it, and they were dominant in the preseason, but getting these guys here in real action, I'm really excited to see them unleashed.
Fletcher Cox has said that he wants to be the defensive player of the year, and he looked like he was ready to back up those words in the preseason. Just the preseason. But again, this defensive line can take over the game tonight. And number 86 there, Zach Ertz, I expect big things from him tonight. Not just from him at the tight end spot, but Dallas Goedert as well, Fran.
Yeah, I expect a handful of catches from both guys to be very involved here in the passing game and in the run game. We talked about that run game earlier. they're going to rely on Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert to be blockers at the point of attack here against the Atlanta Falcons.
All right, so you expect probably the linebackers from the Atlanta Falcons to try to key in on the tight ends for the Eagles, but who's going to be the linebackers for the Eagles tonight? Let's check out the defensive starters for the Eagles. And again, Jordan Hicks, great to see him back in the lineup after missing the second half of last year with that Achilles injury. But Nigel Bradham suspended for this Week 1 game. So if you're looking at the base package, you have Nathan Gary and Kamu Grugier-Hill there, flanking Jordan Hicks on the outside positions.
Yeah, those were the two guys kind of battling out for that weak side linebacker position. Well, we're going to see both of them here tonight in action whenever the Eagles go to their base defense. So I'm excited to see that competition continue. Both of them bring athleticism to the position, physicality to the position. It's a matter of getting off blocks in the run game. I'm excited to see who kind of stands out above the rest here tonight.
And Malcolm Jenkins, I will say it time after time again, so vastly underrated in this Eagles defense, a 2-time Pro Bowl selection. I cannot wait to see how he is utilized by Jim Schwartz, especially with Nigel Bradham out, to contend with Julio Jones, who moves all around the formation. So as we keyed in on certain guys, we want to find out who the players to watch are in tonight's showdown, the first game of the 2018 regular season. We're going to send it back over to the link where the insider, Dave Spadaro, and Amy Campbell are standing by.
Well, yes, Chris, we do have players to watch. Amy, I'd like you to begin.
Well, I has to be Nick Foles for me. I think he, to me, is the key to this game for the Eagles. And we heard Coach talking earlier this week about how he's getting more and more comfortable now that most of the first team is back at practice this week. They're going to be tailoring the playbook to Nick's strengths, taking all the first team reps. To me, he's the key to the Eagles' success tonight against the Falcons.
Now, I think this could be an ugly football game. I really look on the defensive side of the ball at a player who dominated the Atlanta Falcons in the playoffs. Fletcher Cox, 90% of the snaps, 7 tackles, 2 for loss, and a quarterback sack. He wrecked the Falcons. And, you know, Amy, I think he's got to do it tonight. I think the Eagles have to win this game in the trenches.
Yeah, I think the trenches are a big part of this. And, gosh, I'm like getting goosebumps right now just thinking about all of these matchups at every level are going to be fascinating for me tonight.
And certainly Nick Foles is the one to watch on offense. Chris, back to you at the NovaCare Complex.
Thanks, Dave and Amy. A factor to watch here, it is starting to downpour in South Philadelphia. And Fran, I'm going to put you on the spot here. If the rain continues early on in the game, does it benefit one team or the other, or do you think it kind of negates things?
It benefits one team, the team that's going to win the line of scrimmage. And I think that that's going to be the Eagles here on both sides, the offensive line and the defensive line. I think it favors the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right, so that's going to be a storyline to watch, but what are some of the others? Let's send it back now over to the stadium where Dave and Amy are standing by once again.
And yes, Chris, we've got great matchups all across the board here. Amy, I want to hear your two.
Gosh, I don't even know where to begin. I'm really excited to see the Eagles DBs against the Falcons receivers and tight end. You talk about Julio Jones. They just added Calvin Ridley, Austin Hooper, Mohamed Sanu, all of this talent that Matt Ryan has to play with. And then the Eagles DBs, a young group, but a talented group who continues to look better every day. I'm especially excited to see Sidney Jones if he plays in the slot, if he plays that nickel spot. And I really want to see a lot of nickel and dime because I love lots of DBs on the field against those receivers. That to me is the big storyline. And then of course the offense, can they get that rhythm back that they were missing in the preseason now that all the starters or most of the starters are there?
You've covered a great deal here. I'm going to tell you this. I think this is an ugly game in the making. I think the Eagles are better at the line of scrimmage. So that's number one. And then how about this? Nobody's talked about special teams all week, but the Eagles have a new punter. Cameron Johnston won the job. He and Jake Elliott have a good thing going in the field goal game with a holder. So I think the Eagles, to win this, they've got to win the battle of field position, the hidden yardage they call it. I think this is a really close game in the making, and we could go back and forth with about 15 storylines.
I'm glad you always give love to the special teams because you're right, it is something that people don't talk about as much, but it makes such a difference, especially those little moments are so critical in games like this that are going to be so close.
So that's what we got. We think that this is going to be won in the trenches. I do, and special teams.
And Amy's got those.
Yeah, Amy's got the outside covered. Chris, back to you at the very nice and cozy NovaCare Complex.
Good thing they're staying in the Axalta Tunnel Club to be dry because, again, a lot of the fans are trying to get to the main concourse right now. It is downpouring in South Philadelphia. No time change at this point. We'll keep you up to date throughout the course of the show. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to send it to our first break. However, if you are watching on Facebook or Twitter, look, you got to come on over to PhiladelphiaEagles.com or the app, and you might be thinking, Kickoff's right around the corner. What am I going to miss here? We are going to have the championship moment celebration exclusive and live for everyone out there. But again, you can only watch it on PhiladelphiaEagles.com or the app. We're going to give you a couple moments to get yourself situated.